What's up, Nittany Nation? We are PSU Talk, and we are back to cover an exciting, crazy weekend at Happy Valley. So, if you're a big fan of Penn State sports and athletics, you will know that there were so many different events going on at home this weekend that were must-see events. We'll get into Friday night, essentially. We had wrestling going on, hockey going on, and then some indoor track. Great environments all around. We'll kind of start at the wrestling. We beat Nebraska. I think it was a little closer than most people wanted to see, but ultimately, I think we were just spoiled the last couple of weeks shutting out opponents. Nebraska has a pretty good team. A lot of guys on that team are ranked well. And a couple of the matches didn't go our way, but I will say I think some of it was our poor wrestling. We knew right off the gun that there were a couple guys who were playing very defensive and not trying to go for any takedowns. And we didn't change our game to our we didn't change our mindset to try to just dominate the match. I think a big one was Braden Davis, who he went out in the first and absolutely just attacked Brock Hardy. And unfortunately, I think his gas tank kind of ran dry in the third. He ended up getting a reversal on himself and ended up getting pinned there ultimately, and then had the shove at the end. I think the shove wasn't needed, but I also think it was just a misunderstanding with the tap on his chest when he got pinned. So I'm not going to harp too much on that. PJ Duke was another one that I wanted to see take the W. Obviously, Antrell Taylor is a monster. PJ Duke kind of controlled that match, in my opinion. He was the one taking the shots over and over. Taylor really played extremely defensively. I don't know if he ever even went for a single shot. Um, a lot of stalling calls could have been called on him. Did stalling the entire match, but again, is what it is. It's Penn State wrestling. We went out there, we tried. Could have did a little bit better, but ultimately we got the win, and that's what we're looking for at the end of the day. Penn State had the advantage in terms of takedowns. They had 29 compared to 5. And then ultimately we won 7 of the 10 bouts, which is incredible. I mean, I know fans are disappointed with the way the team score was, but at the end of the day, 7 of 10, 70% of the matches, that's fantastic. We'll kind of get right into track. There was a lot going on track. So I think Friday night was the mile, and Nick went out there and ran a 3:54, fastest time in Penn State history indoor, which is an incredible accomplishment. If you follow Penn State track the way I follow Penn State track, you know that middle distance team has always been a phenomenal team. The milers have always been a little bit off, in my opinion, compared to where our 800 guys and then our 400 guys have always been at. But ultimately, that was, I mean, huge race, huge race. And then having Ryan Watson and Brian and Justin go 401 and 404 there, that's pretty good for our depth at the mile, which we don't normally have. I'm excited to see how those guys progress and see if we can get a couple more of them underneath that 4 minute mark this year. Which, if you know, there's, I believe, less than 2,000 people have ever run under 4. So big accomplishment there if we do get that. Women's side of things, Haley is just a monster. I mean, I think we know that. I think the country knows that. Running 2 flat .01 in the 800, incredible. That's, I mean, phenomenal performance. She's going to run under 2, and then I could see her being one of those people that keeps that momentum rolling, and then she never sees 2 again. Doing it indoors would be pretty good, because obviously everyone knows once you get to that outdoor season, the times generally are slightly faster outdoor than they are indoor, just because of the conditions and being outside and actually having the weather. The cooler temps does help, less dry than being indoor. Looking at the men's side of things at the 800, they are a class above everyone else, in my personal opinion. Raban ran 141.91. Alan Clay ran 145. I'm gonna butcher this one, but Ishi 146.37. Nico 148. He was the transfer from another Big Ten school. Caleb 148. So we have, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys right now who are running 148 or quicker. That's incredible. Once we get those guys outdoors, if we can get all of them running 146 or quicker, that is a team. I'd actually even be curious to see if we run a DMR team indoor. I think with the group that Penn State has right now, we obviously have an 800 guy, we have a miler. If you take one of those 8 another one of those 8 guys and make them into a 1K guy, or 1200 guy, sorry. If you make them into a 12 guy, we'll be fine. You just put Jake as the 400 guy. He was somebody I haven't touched on yet, but he ran 45.9 in the 400 as a sophomore. I'm excited to see where he goes in 2 years because he has the potential to run crazy fast times that we haven't seen at Penn State in the 400. So, still a young underclassman. We'll see what he can do. I watched him personally on the 4x4 on Saturday night after the hockey game, and he was closing on those boys from Georgetown. Fortunately, didn't get it at the line, but 3:11 for indoor season is phenomenal time again. I guess we'll kind of look at the other women's ones. We had a 54 on the 400 on the women's side to win. That's great time, especially for freshmen. Mile times were okay. We had 1 miles. Leah and Sarah went 4:37 and 4:39. I mean, it's great. I mean, PBs or anytime you run a PB, it's phenomenal. And then 3K, we had Charlotte, Leah, and Claire go 9:07, 9:09, 9:15 against some pretty good competition to go second, fourth, and fifth. We saw some of those ladies at the outdoor cross country national championships. I believe a couple of them were around the 100 mark or just under 100. So yeah, great performance all around from the track team. Excited to see where this team goes. It's like they're year in, year out, they're always someone that everyone in the country talks about just because they can put up the performances, especially with that middle distance group. Obviously, we didn't see some of our top sprinters this weekend, and that's completely fine because some of them raced the weekend prior or the weekend before that. Um, I think the last big event that happened this past weekend was the outdoor hockey game at Beaver Stadium. I personally was there. It was an incredible environment. I will say, I think the Penn State fans need to be challenged a little bit more to show up on time. I do feel like that first period we were missing a good bit of the fans as they were trickling in late. But once we got into that second period, the environment definitely changed, and that's where you saw us start to be a little bit better on the ice. Uh, in terms of passing the puck, I think we need a little bit of work there. It almost seemed like the guys were just a little too nonchalant. Michigan State's passes they were good. I mean, they knew where the other guys were going to be at every time. They were hitting it off the wall perfectly or off the boards perfectly to where the guy would run or skate and stride to it. We were just missing that fire to it. I think Aiden Fink played a great game. I think our goalie played a great game. Obviously, the Gavin McKenna goal, with that one photo that is out there circulating right now, that's a crazy photo. That might go down as one of the top 2 or 3 college photos of all time after scoring a goal. It was just, incredible photo, incredible environment, incredible goal as well. He looked pretty good. I liked a lot of what he did. I will say there were a couple bad turnovers that he gave, or bad puck handling that I saw early on, but he did settle down and get a little bit better in the second and third, and obviously got that one goal, which really fired up the crowd. I have a great video from that where the crowd was just going absolutely berserk at that point. The student section definitely brought it. I thought with it being 17 degrees, the stadium wouldn't be as full as it was, but 74,000, just under 75,000, is an incredible accomplishment. And I think ultimately, with everything that was going on at the university this past weekend, it was great for Penn State athletics. Um, the only thing I'd like to see us challenge a little bit more in terms of a university thing would be women's hockey, man. We have to get more people out to those games. I would have loved to be there Friday night, had some issues getting there from Orlando to Philly and then having to drive over. I didn't expect some of the traffic that we saw, but it is what it is. Um, Only having under 2K fans at a free event to watch the women outdoor at Beaver Stadium, man, that stinks. Hopefully we can get a little bigger of a crowd and support those women because that is a fantastic hockey team. They are very good right now. I believe they're sitting at number 4 in the country. Um, so hopefully they can continue their success this year and see if they can make the Frozen Four or even the national title game and put Penn State women's hockey on the map. Um, there was gymnastics going on at home. I didn't get a chance to watch any of that. And men's volleyball, tough break there. Um, Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, I guess we'd say. Penn State basketball finally got that W in conference. They played great, in my opinion. They played better than they have all year. Obviously, they got some guys back into the mix that they've been missing, but ultimately, they had a good team win, and hopefully, we can continue that for the rest of the season. And hopefully, we get a couple more conference wins in there. Obviously, we're a really young team there on the basketball side of things, but I think that team has more potential and could theoretically upset a couple of high caliber Big Ten teams the rest of the year. Um, that's basically my recap for the weekend. If you are not familiar with sports outside of Penn State football, I would challenge you to do some digging. Follow my podcast, follow me on YouTube, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Spotify. Again, I'm just trying to push out there some of the Penn State athletics that I do think goes under the radar for people. Track and field, specifically, as someone who ran track and field cross country in college, I would love to get more awareness out there, more support. Um, it was my first time going to one of their indoor meets. It was a good crowd there, great environment. Love the facility. I will say that. Love the facility. Hopefully, we'll be back to watch more. That's kind of my plan as I continue this podcast and these videos, is to engulf myself in more Penn State athletics and then get the chance to be up there at home and experience more of it myself. But everybody have a great week. I will be back hopefully next week with another recap of some athletics for Penn State University. We are PSU Talk.